community really is the biggest resource that Gospel Tools provides to all of its members, because community allows us to belong to a group that we come together for a common interest and goal. And our goal is the gospel. We want to see the gospel be given, and we want to see our friends and family come to know the Lord as their Savior. And so this community provides a way for us to come together and to encourage one another in this goal. And through the community, we can communicate back and forth. We'll be showing the technology of how we can do that in a little bit. But through that, we're able to share our experiences, because we all come from different backgrounds. We all came to know the Lord a different way, and we're from different places. And so we can share our experiences with one another. We can ask questions of each other. We can provide ideas and solutions, because we're going to have people doing using the gospel in so many different ways in this community. The biggest way that we can help each other is by praying for one another, praying for all the different things that people are posting about or talking about. And the best way to get to know each other is to engage in the community, and anybody can engage. You don't have to just be having a big event to engage or to talk about. We can come at all different levels, and really through this, I just want to give some examples of how people can talk about different things or engage in it. We're going to have people, and if you look at the history of some of this, we already have people talking about some large events that they're doing in their towns, whether through parades or trunk or treats or local football games, different things. They're going to have different ideas, and they're going to go on and let us know what's coming up, and maybe ideas on what their printed materials are or different things. But we can be praying for those events. And then when they come back and share pictures or let us know the results of those events, we can celebrate in those victories, because we all have a part in it. And then we're going to have people that are they're great soul winners. They're out witnessing to people. They're handing out tracts, leading people to Lord at the grocery store, leading people to the Lord at the hairdresser, all different things. And they're just really good. They have a lot of experience in that. And they're going to be telling us about the people that the Lord put in their path that day. And we can celebrate in that. And we can encourage one another by just thanking the Lord for another soul coming to know him as their Savior. And then we're going to have people that are really good at building relationships with people and sharing their personal testimony of how God changed their life with people. It may be through having people over to their house, maybe their neighbors over for dinner, or they're doing something with a family and their kids' ball team or something, different ways, but just sharing that personal testimony. And we also have a place for people to share their personal testimonies within the community. And that's another great way for us to get to know each other, is to watch each other's testimonies, because it's going to help us to learn about each other and to know what each other's experiences are. And that's just, and it's encouraging. It's always encouraging to hear how somebody came to know the Lord. And so utilizing this community is just a big way. There's going to be Sunday school teachers, Bible club leaders, maybe you work in a bus ministry, and you have different things going on in your ministry or whatever that you want to share. Just like Gail talked about, the young girl that led people to, I've seen that myself in teaching Sunday school. God really can get a hold of these children, and it's just so amazing to see what God can do through that. And then of course we've got people that come and they're going to ask for prayer requests. They're going to say, I need help. I need somebody to help me pray for my brother because he's lost and he doesn't know the Lord. And I want to be a witness to him, not only just in giving him the gospel, but in the way I live my life and the decisions I make, because God can use everything that we do to be a witness to other people. And through this, the whole community, we can engage with one another and we can pray for one another. And that's such a huge part. And we're also going to have people that have never given the gospel. They know they're saved, and they have a desire to see the gospel given. They have a desire to see their friends and family saved, but they've never done it. And honestly, that was me for so many years. I was saved as a young girl in the fourth grade. I realized in the fourth grade that I was a sinner, that my sin did separate me from God. And I realized that when he died on the cross, it was personal. He paid my sin debt, and he was buried and rose again. And I chose him to be the Lord of my life. I remember the night, and it was just such a peace that he gave me. And I know for sure I was saved, but it took me years to really realize that I needed to be able to communicate what God did in my life to other people, because I could hand a tract to somebody and that's all I could do, because I would just say, here's a tract, read it so you can know how to go to heaven. I didn't understand how to even talk about the verses. As far as the gospel, I learned a lot of verses growing up. I grew up in church. I grew up in Christian school. I grew up going to church 3 times a week. But I just never really learned how to communicate the gospel. I never memorized the gospel in a way that I could explain it to other people. And it wasn't until I was an adult and somebody invited me to start working in children's ministry that I realized I needed to know how to talk to these children and how to share the gospel with them. And I realized how important it was for me to memorize the scriptures that go with the gospel. And the gospel in colors was a great method for me. It clicked. Having those colors helped me visually associate everything. Just having some simple phrases to go with each color and then learning those verses. It just opened my world in being able to communicate the gospel to children. And it was an easy way for me to explain to the children. And of course, I was in the children's ministry, but through that, it has helped me be able to communicate the gospel to adults and to other people that God has put into my life. And while I was teaching and sharing that, I never really thought that I had a personal gospel testimony, because I grew up in church my whole life. And growing up, people would say, we're going to have somebody share their testimony. And it was always of somebody that had really struggled with addiction or had been in jail, or they had been very wealthy and then got saved and gave it all up. And I just thought, well, I'm never going to get rich, or I don't really want to go out and ruin my life just so I can have, like, I didn't feel like I had anything inspiring to share with someone. So I thought, I don't have a personal testimony. So the gospel was just something I quoted or shared, through a track or through the gospel in colors. And as I was teaching 3rd and 4th grade girls, remember, I got saved in the 4th grade, and I started to just tell them how I came to know the Lord. And before I knew it, I realized I was sharing my personal testimony, and that I actually had a gospel testimony to share with people. And the Lord used it, and he used it to even open some of their understandings for them to come to know the Lord as their Savior. So the community really is a great part. We have some great videos through the Blueprint that help go over the gospel in colors. We break it down into 3 or 4 videos that can help you to learn how to memorize the gospel and how to share it with other people using those colors. And then we also have some great videos that break down what your personal testimony is, and how to write down your personal testimony, and to find out how can you share that with other people and learn to tell it. It all takes practice, but God will help you. He gives you the words to say if you have a desire. And this community is here so we can encourage one another to do that. This community allows us all to grow together in sharing the gospel. So I really hope that you get engaged and just start sharing it and talking and praying for one another in this community. Thanks, Gail.
No problem. Yeah. So, but anyway, go in, join, look at the community. You're going to be able to use that as a resource right on your phone. And we've got our tech guy. Thank God for Cody Stenson, because if it was up to me or Dave, Hannah's probably better at it, we wouldn't go very far. But he has done a wonderful job helping create this platform. God put us together, no doubt. We've been working on this for, I'd say at least 2 to 3 years. And so anyway, but he's going to go over just a few things that'll help you navigate around after you join, and just what's available. So I'll leave it to you, Cody.